All right. Tonight we have our own co-host. We're interviewing her. We got her in the hot seat tonight. We have the Smith family tonight. We have Bunny, we have Phil, we have Gray Bear, and we have Quinn, his mom. We also have his aunt and uncle Brandon and Jessica, and we have Braxton, their son. He's gonna come in and out as he sees fit. But as we told you guys before, we want to start introducing our family to you. We know that a lot of the times you see us on Thursdays and you hear us talk about our family. You hear us talk about the challenges, the successes. So we thought it would be great to have our family on here. So instead of you hearing us talk about them, you can see them. So tonight is the start of that. We're going to interview the Smith family. So we do have Bunny in the hot seat. We told her she knows all the rules and regulations, so we must make her abide. So with that being said, of course, I'm Paula. I'm Morgan's mom, Jeremy's mom. Harper's my husband, and we live in the Maryland area. Grew up in D.C. Morgan has been diagnosed with multiple disabilities. She has autism, but she has cerebral palsy. She's nonverbal. Crystal, Crystal was raised in DC. She moved to DMV, and then once she got married, she moved to Michigan. I think that was their final destination. And she has five children. She's married. Two of her sons have been diagnosed with autism, and we have Jael, her oldest daughter, that has cerebral palsy. So, with that being said, we want to turn it over to the Smith family. They're going to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about themselves, and then we'll go from there. Bunny Smith family, let's go.
Let's
Hello,
go.
everybody. It seems so weird to be on this side of the table. This is my husband, Phil. That's my daughter, Quenica. She likes to go by Quinn. And joining us is my oldest daughter, Jessica, and her husband, Brandon. And this is Grayson that you often hear me talk about, my gray bear. Um, he is eating his favorite snack, which is going to be quite loud. So I'm going to apologize now. It's Funyuns. And this is something that he really loves. That, his headphones, and his iPad, his Mickey Mouse. So he wants more. He wants more Funyuns. So this is what you're going to get the real tonight. You know, Grayson wants Funyuns. He wants more Funyuns. So this is what we're going to get. So I'm going to turn this portion over to Grayson's mom to just share a little bit about her journey, being pregnant, birth, and everything. Go ahead, Quinn.
Okay. I'm Grace's mom, and I had a great pregnancy. I was never sick. Um, um, I did all of my like blood work, if because they will let you know in advance if your kid will have any disabilities. But I was clear for all of that, and then my my delivery was a little rough. It's like 17 and a half hours delivery.
Wow.
Um, and then I think like around maybe what else did I say? When you was like when he had to get a hearing test because
He
he
wasn't meeting
wasn't
his
responding
milestones.
to his name or he wouldn't make eye contact with us. So my mom just figured, oh, he just probably just can't hear us or something like. So I'm like, okay, well I'll just take him to get a hearing test. So took him to get a hearing test. The doctor said, oh, he passed with flying colors. He's just ignoring you guys. Nothing wrong with him. So I'm like, okay, that's wrong with him. Then and I was hearing, well, he's a boy. He just, develops, girls develop quicker than boys. So then that was one case. And then that's when my mom was like, well, let's just go get him evaluated for autism. And I was like, what? Because then I didn't know what autism was. Like nobody did. And nobody in our family had it. So I was like, okay. So then we went to get him evaluated. Well, we had to get put on a wait list for 6 months. Wait list.
Wow.
So when that finally came, he did his evaluation, And then that took about a few hours. They came, like, yeah, he's on the spectrum, but they didn't tell us where on the spectrum. They just said, yeah, he is on a spectrum for autism. But I just didn't even know what that meant. Me and his dad was in the room.
I cried.
Yeah, she started crying because she said his life will forever be different. But I still didn't know what that was, because I'm like, I'm still thinking in my head, like, he's just going to develop, in time, like, so he'll be fine. And then then that's when we started our journey. We had to get him the ABA therapist. So that went good. And then he started putting shapes together. He started doing, like, lining up his cars. Like, he just started showing signs of autism. The things that he would do, a pattern, and he'll do it constantly. And then he'll be on his iPad, and then he could, rewind something the exact time and then play it, or fast forward and then play it. Like, if he still does it today, like, to this day, he'll do it.
So let's rewind back a little bit. When she talked about pregnancy was difficult.
Delivery.
Delivery was very difficult. He had a hard time coming through the birthing canal, and when he came through, he wasn't breathing, and they had to do a lot to get him to catch air. So I think the way that they described it was he had a hard time transitioning from the womb into the world and breathing air.
The umbilical cord was about to run his neck, they said.
Yeah, so I don't know what actually contributed to Grayson being autistic. I noticed that he wasn't hitting his milestones. I knew something was a little off. Not just he wasn't making eye contact, because even when Jess held him, when we all held him, he would, accept some hugs and things like that when he was little. He just wasn't meeting those milestones of the talking, the babbling, the way he ate. It was all concerning to me. So I talked to his pediatrician, and she got us in touch with Infants and Toddlers Program. And that's where the journey started with Grayson, and identifying that there were some delays at the time. And then I think Philip might have Googled and looked at the some of the signs of autism. And we could identify several on the list for Grayson. Well, let's start. Grayson, say hi.
Hi.
Good job.
Hi, Grayson.
First of all, you interrupted me.
So we kind of identified a few of those symptoms were something that we were experiencing with Grayson. So I decided to reach out to one of the Spectrum centers in DC, and we went on the waiting list. The application or the assessment package was extremely long and difficult to fill out. That was the most difficult form to fill out. And like my daughter said, the waiting list was really long. And I think waiting for the assessment, or the doctors, the therapists, the psychologists, everybody had Grayson in this room. He was about 15 months at the time.
Wow.
And they had him in the room doing playtime. And I just couldn't understand, how can you evaluate a 15-month-old to determine if there's any type of, delays, needs, and special needs and things like that. But I guess, with them being psychologists and whatever else,
they've seen it all.
Yeah, they know. So when we sat down, like she said, his dad was there, and we sat in this room, and they finally said, well, we do see some signs of autism, and we're going to go ahead and let you know that he is on the autism spectrum. And they just looked, and I immediately cried, because I knew that the world is already challenging. And for someone that isn't really meeting milestones and things like that, I said this was going to be a lifestyle change for the entire family. So that's where you bring in my, other children and how they had to interact with Grayson according to me, how to interact with him. So, Jessica, you can kind of join in on, you can, chime in, Jessica, on your experience of having Grayson to be a part of your life.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know what happened.
Okay. They going in and out.
Okay, well, Neek, I want to ask you a question too.
Yes.
I mean, once they come back in, but I do want to ask, once you finally realized that he was autistic and what that meant, how did you deal with it?
Yes, that was going to be my question. Yes, I want to know.
I think I was still like, because I kept hearing people say, "Oh, he's gonna grow out of it." He's gonna grow out of it. He's gonna grow out of it. And then, "Oh, he's this boy. He develops. Boys develop. Don't develop as quick as girls." Because my niece barely, they're 2 months apart. So she was talking at one, like she was saying my name, Quenika, at one.
So that's what she wanted Grayson to do.
So I was like, she doesn't call me auntie now, because she's been calling me Quenika since 1 year old. So
oh wow.
Full blown talking at once. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe they just
like on, please.
They're just gonna
like on, please.
He's just gonna catch on, but just it's gonna be just a little more time with him to catch on. But he does everything like with his learning. He did his ABCs like that. He did his count from 1 to 100 like that. And then some things he could do, my niece couldn't even do. So it's like my niece is sitting here full blown conversations, but with the learning part, Grayson is like up here.
So how do you now? And Jessica, I want to get to you guys too, but tell me, now that you have a full understanding, I'm assuming you have a full understanding, and it's I won't say full, but you've grown to understand it, because I think with autism, we all are still learning, because they are teaching us. So what they may tell you he is as a textbook is, as tomorrow he may do something that they may have to document that's not normal for autism. Knowing what you know now, how do you begin to appreciate his differences?
That knowing that it's so much to learn about him. So knowing that it's like I'll see older kids, like how you have athletes with autism. So it's like I can see him doing something instead of just being, growing up to just do nothing. People with autism have jobs, careers. Yeah. They can still function in the world today, basically. Okay. So it's like I feel like he can. I feel like and he'll definitely do good. And
so you want to appreciate him for his differences, because I'm sure. What age did you have him? Because I'm sure you're young. I'm sure that's something. Okay, so I'm sure that's something you had to grow to appreciate.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Crystal, I'll let you jump in there, because I got some.
Yeah. Is Grayson your only child?
Yes.
He is. Okay, so I can see that. I can see you being young. This is your first child and having a lot of reservations. So I just kind of wanted to know, like, what challenges do you have now that you feel like, even as you advocate for Grayson or in home life, like what are some of the challenges that you face being the parent of Grayson?
Challenges. Challenges I face with him. I think he's strong.
Okay. Challenges you face with him.
Right. Yeah. So it's like I don't know. Challenges I
would you say strong-willed or strong strength-wise?
In strength, yeah.
He is strong.
Yeah.
But
He
probably
takes
is
advantage.
stronger.
The challenge is he takes advantage of her.
no,
Oh,
I think-
okay, that's
I think-
deep.
he is. I don't know, like
Sit down. Sit down.
I don't know what challenges.
Well, I guess I'm thinking of like as a parent, sometimes a challenge could be maybe getting him to go to bed or getting him to sleep through the night or getting him, it's a tussle back and forth of your will of what you're trying to teach him, or challenges in the school. Do you have challenges like trying to get him all the things that he needs? Like, are there anything that you kind of face concerning Grayson as a parent? Because autism, a lot comes with it.
Yeah. Mhm. So, Phil, let me ask you, because I hear that you are the lunch man. I hear you are the one that brings hot lunches to the school. Is that still something that you do?
Yeah, I get a little help now. I don't do it as much.
Well, from your standpoint,
yeah,
Grandpa.
yeah.
from your standpoint as grandpa, give us your overview of Grayson.
Well, I mean, I kind of want to go back to where they were with the his birth, and I know that when he was born, that they did say he had a problem with one of his ears, and that's what got us to having his ears checked.
Okay.
You hear fluid in the
Right.
fluid in
So
his
this
ear.
is what we're just assumed that it was, a hearing issue other than, autism. And but I was with Quenica the day that they checked his ears, and the lady was just like, there's nothing wrong with his ears. And his hearing was perfect as far as she was concerned. And then just, watching him, just over time, you just start to see, like Bunny was saying earlier, you start to see some of the challenges that he was having. And for me, I'm somewhat, I guess the older I get, the more emotional I get. But for me, it was emotional because he was my first grandchild. And,
never thought about it from that standpoint.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah,
I said I never thought about it from that standpoint, but you're right. He's the oldest.
He was the oldest, and as a grandfather, you're saying, wow, it's a boy. I had nothing against the girls. I love my granddaughter. But you start to think of baseball and football, and and teaching them how to do this and teaching them how to do that, and to hear that, okay, he has this challenge, it hit me pretty hard. And a lot of it I didn't really talk about because at first, you get to a point where you're not so much denying it, but because of my faith, I'm just believing God, that it's going to change. And especially wanting it to be like an overnight change. Yeah. And, I went, my pastor, Walters, he had preached one Sunday, and he talked about a young man in the scripture whose father brought him to Jesus, and the young man had issues. He was he wanted to jump in water, he wanted to get near fire, and those things kind of brought me back to children with autism. A lot of them are drawn to water. They are. The water can kill you. And Jesus talked about the man, and he talked about his unbelief. But Jesus asked the man a question, and he asked him, when did this start? And I'm paraphrasing it, but he told Jesus that it was from birth. But it's it helped me when I heard that, because some people have their their theories about how autism comes about and how people are affected, but some of us are born in certain ways. We understand that everything that God makes is good and it's perfect. That's right. That helped me, because even with that young man, don't know how old he was, but God was able to heal him too. And it wasn't that someone had did something wrong, because you try to figure that out. Did it come from your family? Did it come from whoever family? And what did they do? And this, that, and the other. And so that helped me. And then I had to grasp it. I had to accept it because it was a diagnosis. And with us, we got to get a diagnosis. Because if we don't get a diagnosis, then we don't know what to pray for. We don't know how to, deal with it. So with that, it helped me to accept it a lot faster because I knew the faster I accepted it, the more help I could be for him. And I think that's what a lot of people deal with. They deal with the denial of it because who really wants to think that?
Exactly.
That's right.
And I have and I won't say his name, but I have a nephew who has autism also, and I have friends who have children that are around his age. So every now and then I have to play him, and I say, well, Grayson did this and Grayson did that, and they'll say, well, wow, my grandson's doing the same thing. But okay, well, everything's not equated with autism.
That's right.
There's something normal.
That's right.
Do with that age, and
that's
that
right.
it encourages me. But that's that's my buddy, and I fight for him. And give me a second. And I really fight for him.
That's right. That's right.
I don't feel sorry for him because when I feel sorry for him, I try to do everything for him instead of teaching. He's a blank canvas, and I look at him that way. I look at him as a blank canvas. And I often tell people, whatever you do in front of him, make sure you do it the right way. Because it picks up on everything.
Yeah.
Even in your speech and what you say, you have to be careful because one day this child here is going to speak. And when he speaks, he's going to say what he's heard. And
that's
so
right.
you have to be careful even with that. But I've learned a lot, from him. I joined a few groups, just to try to, help myself, through some of the challenges that he has. Some people want to be ashamed of it, but you can't be ashamed of it because if you're ashamed, then you're not going to fight. You're not going to, you're not going to be. And
and then where does that get him?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's been one of my biggest issues, even in, certain arenas, that it's not taught how to accept, kids that are on the spectrum. I don't know what the number is now, but I know the number is high of kids that are being. So if the world can accept everything else and make ways for us to include everyone else, then why not include them too? So,
I agree.
I could probably
agree.
But I still don't.
Now I love that. I love number one. I think that comes.
My own segment.
I think it comes.
You
We
did
do.
good. It was needed, especially to hear from you being a dad and a granddad.
Exactly.
We needed to hear that. And then I love when you were saying how when you look at Grayson, it made me think of with my children. What came to my mind is that you are a gift from God. That's one. And two, you were fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And I said, how am I to think that God's gift is trash? It is the most beautiful gift. And then he chose me. He chose me.
Yeah.
Lord, help me with this gift that you gave me.
Yeah.
So I really love what you said, Philip. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, I agree. And I think
He
it
wants his
would
own
be great.
show.
He needs his own show. But you know what? I like it too. Like Crystal said, from coming from a male side, like you said, you were so excited when you heard you were having a grandson. You could play football. You think about all the things you could do with him. And I think that is just a real life scenario. When you have a daughter, you think about, oh, we're going to get our nails done together. We're going to shop together. We're going to do this. And I think it almost has to redefine your relationship with that child. But if you don't come to terms with some of these things, you would almost feel like you've been cheated. And it's like you can't even, you have to look at that thing differently and be like, nah, like Crystal say, I was blessed because the Lord entrusted this special package to me to love but sometimes you do. I tell them like when my sister's girls went to the prom last year, I had a tearful moment. I mean, I cried like a baby because they're the same age as Morgan. I never even thought about not taking her to the prom, and then we packing him up to go to college. I mean, it just hit me one day and I cried like a baby. But guess what? I had them 2 or 3 days, cried. Everybody packed me up. And guess what? I got back to it and was like,
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
you got to stop and deal with your situation. And then you
Yeah.
be like, you know what? Now, God, help me to now give you thanks
Yes.
for this special package. So I always
Yeah.
tell people, don't feel bad for feeling the way you feel.
That's
But
right.
at the same time, don't give up on that child that you didn't view as perfect. Morgan is
Right.
perfect in my eyes, perfect
Yes.
for me, you know, and I thank
Yeah.
God for realizing that. I do. I appreciate that,
Yeah. Grayson is
Phil.
all over the place, but you know, like I said in the beginning, for those
I
that are
love it.
joining us late, this is real life. This is
It is.
the life of having a special kid like Grayson, who is, like you guys said, wonderfully and fearfully made.
Yes.
Mhm.
This is his home, and he is free to do whatever he wants to do. And you know, although we would love for him to sit and be attentive, that's just
Yeah,
not it that
it's
we were
not.
blessed with. And um,
He's
whatever,
happy. He's
right.
happy.
And Grayson is really a happy kid. Those Funyuns that you heard him crunching on, it makes him happy.
Girl was
So
making me happy. I could feel that sensory of that crunch, and I was
yeah,
like, he not even
exactly,
sharing.
exactly. And that was 3 bags just while we were sitting here. That's 3 bags, guys. So Jessica
Wow.
and Brandon, I know you guys were having difficulties with your the internet, but you want to hop in there to
Join
talk
in.
about, you
Yes.
know, life with Grayson, and maybe, you know, me, the looks that I get when people come around Grayson. I'm like, you know, don't you do nothing to Grayson. You know how I am with Grayson.
Yeah,
Because he was
so
new to everybody, right? This was
yeah,
your first
yeah,
niece,
Yeah.
this was your first nephew, first
yep.
grandbaby. Yeah, tell us about that, Jess,
Yep.
y'all.
Yeah, so yeah, my first nephew, you know, when he was born, I was super excited. I was
Yeah.
like, you know, this gonna be can y'all hear us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I was like, this gonna be, you know, my little baby, you know, this gonna be my buddy. And you know, in the beginning, I didn't notice, you know, anything off with him. You know, I heard about the different tests and stuff, but like never really realized you know, that there was anything, you know, anything wrong with Grayson. And so, you know, I would just be a auntie taking a lot of pictures and, you know, recording videos. And you know, we started noticing, like my sister had mentioned, like he would line up cars and he would line things up. And I was like super amazed when he put the alphabet in order. Like he had like magnet letters and he put them on a board. And my mom was like, yeah, we only did this with him once. And, you know, he put all the alphabets together. And I'm like, that's not normal. Like for him to have done that like that.
Okay.
And
And
so
how old was he, Jess? Do you remember how old he was?
Grayson probably was like maybe two,
That's
three. He was
awesome.
2 years, yeah,
Yeah.
2 years old. Yep. And it was remarkable. Like, you know, when he does different things, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, Mom, did you see that? Look what Grayson did. And so hearing the diagnosis, I was in denial. And I kind of was like, well, you know, it's early. He's only 18 months. Like it's early. Like how can they tell when there's some kids who don't talk till they're 2 or 3 years old? I was like, you know, it could just be a delay. So I was in denial in the beginning, because I mean, who wants to hear that type of
Mhm.
news? Because you know, living
Mhm.
with autism, there's just so many different levels. And you know, like the spectrum is just so wide. It's like, well, he had the autism where he's fully functioning, and you know, he may just have a few little quirks and things, you know, about him. Or is he going to be on this side where he's like, you know, needs a lot of help and you know is nonverbal. And so, you know, that part was kind of scary because that quality of life is different. You know, Grayson is going to need someone to take care of him, you know, for the rest of his life. Right now, I mean, God can completely heal him. And, you know, I still have faith that he will become verbal and he will, you know, do all of these things on his own. But you know, I still have that in the back of my mind. But like Grayson is amazing. Like living with Grayson is always something fun going on. You know, you can be in a really bad mood and you can come around Grayson and you will just smile because Grayson will just be like, and you'll be like, what? And it will just make you laugh. Or he'll like, you know, be looking at his iPad and, you know, he'll see something funny and he will just crack up laughing. And you looking like, do you understand what's going on? And Grayson understands what's going on. So, you know, it's those moments that like really give me hope and really make me just see the beauty of Grayson. Yeah, there's times where, you know, being with Grayson can be very frustrating. And that's just because, you know, like my sister mentioned, Grayson is strong. And so I could be playing with him and he take it to another level. And I'm sitting over here, you know, not that big soaking wet. And Grayson is like, come on, let's play. And I'm like, okay, we can play. But you know, Grayson may take it a little bit too far. It was one instance, and my mom said that I did something to him, but I don't think I did. But I told him to give me a hug. I was like, give me a hug, Grayson, give me a hug. And so he gave me a hug. And then I was like, give me a big hug. And he gave me a big hug. And then he like tried to fall on top of me. And I was like, Grayson, you was too big. And he was like trying to sit on my lap and like put me in a chokehold. But he was playing. And so, you know, we have our moments and, you know, all of that stuff. And we have a really good time. But I'm like really encouraged by Grayson's by his progress. And here's my little one. But I'm very, very encouraged with his progress and like how he's learned so much. And I give a lot of credit, you know, to my parents and, you know, to Quenica, you know, working with him and staying consistent with him. You know, he was doing sign language at an early age. He was, you know, pointing out his snacks that he wanted. My mom created books and things for him. And so we've really adapted our life to fit Grayson. You know, and he comes over my house. I just let Grayson be. I run after him. No, Grayson, put that back. No, he tried to take my baby's toys out the house. You know, and yeah, I let Grayson be. You know, because that's who he is, and I just let him be. But yeah, it's a wonderful thing being around Grayson. It is, and it's work, but it's a good time.
It's rewarding. It sounds rewarding for sure.
It's exhausting and rewarding all at the same time.
Yes.
Of course. And from hearing from everyone speak, you know, I feel like we share the same sentiments. We learn from them more than what we think. And I think you guys have not seen anything yet. I think one of the things is that what I'm hearing about Grayson is he's very intelligent.
Very.
And so I just want to put a little bug out there that he's very intelligent and he will outsmart guys more than you know. And I just say that I have 2 boys that are autistic, and one is in gen ed, he's 15, and one is in like a self-contained classroom, he's 12. And my 15-year-old, and I tell him, honey, the charm don't work, it stops here. You know, I'm just saying, you know, he's them wheels are always turning. And in my 12-year-old, they're very intelligent. So I was listening to Jessica talk about how smart he is, how intelligent. And so, you know, you guys have to remember that, like, he is very intelligent, so intelligent that, you know, you have to, like, you know, your yeses be yeses, your no's be no's, because, you know, but it sounds like, I mean, he sounds so well loved and well supported. And so just want to know, how big is his community outside of you guys?
He's got a good village behind him. I think I kind of I kind of have people to look at Grayson like he's their nephew, their kid, and even people at church. So he has a big family that loves him. His dad's family, us, my extended family. So he is well loved. His village is large, and everybody knows if you come for Grayson or Gray Bear, you got to deal with me and the rest of everybody else.
Bunny, we had that talk. I already know.
Yes, you got to let them know. You got to let them know.
I see your little ones. I do see the little ones, and I know in my family, Morgan has it's, and I thank God for that. My sister's kids and all of my nieces and nephews and all of them came up with Morgan, which has made them more compassionate. How have you all introduced the kids to Grayson? Do they are they at the age? I know Bailey is his mama, the second mama. How have they, how do you feel like that has helped them? And then Jessica, with your little one, Braxton, is he at the point where he's kind of noticing some differences with Gray Bear?
Well, with Bailey,
go ahead, Mom.
Go ahead, just with Braxton.
Oh, so with Brax, in the beginning, we were a little bit concerned, if he would be, too rough, because Grayson can be a little, he can be a little rough.
So sorry.
And I was a little bit concerned because I had a little itty bitty thing, and he's still a little itty bitty thing, but him and Grayson play so well together. Like they play so well together, and we started it out with having Braxton sit on Grayson's lap. So when he was really little, we would have him, hear Grayson, sit down, hold Braxton, hold him. So my mom would be right there, and she'd be like, hold Braxton, give Braxton a hug, say hi to Braxton. And so, we did that a lot to get Grayson comfortable, because it also was a thing of Braxton playing with Grayson's toys. And so Grayson can be a little territorial with his stuff, but
Grayson gentle.
Yeah, so Grayson has been so good. Like I'll say, Grayson, go get Braxton, go get him, and he'll go get him, and he'll grab his hand, and he'll pull him back from something, and he shares his stuff, but he only gives him certain toys. So he gives my son the doll babies, and I'm like, don't give my son the doll babies.
You're in the reject.
But he's so sweet. He'll share. If I ask him to share some food with Braxton, he'll share his food. And the other thing, and then with Braxton, he sometimes sees things that Grayson does and wants to do them. So Grayson gets on his scooter, Braxton wants to get on the scooter. So
I love it.
Braxton is trying to be a big boy, like his cousin. And I don't think he recognizes anything right now at his age,
which is beautiful.
But like they get along so well.
Yeah.
But even when they stop. Yeah, go ahead, Brandon. Jump in, Brandon.
So even just I noticed the funny things with Grayson and Braxton. So Grayson will politely take his train back from Braxton, because even you might think that Grayson isn't paying attention because he has his headphones on or is into that iPad, but he will clearly look over, see Braxton with one of his toys, and just and kind of move it up over. So that's his gentle. He respects them. And then the only other thing that Grayson is protective of Braxton.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. Oh, and in the beginning it was extremely protective.
Yeah.
Grayson wouldn't let me leave the house with Braxton.
I couldn't leave.
It's almost dangerous.
Yeah, like when we had, and Braxton was a baby and he had came to spend some time over mama's house, and so like I come to pick up the baby, and Grayson is pulling me, screaming, yelling, everything, because he thinks I'm trying to steal the baby. And I don't think Grayson had put it together all the way together just yet
that was your baby.
Father, that I'm his father.
You was an intruder.
Right.
We had to trick him. Like we had to literally trick Grayson in order to get out the house without him having a meltdown. Because I was like, I'm not. And at one point we had to leave Braxton at the house.
Yeah.
My dad said, just leave him here. Just leave him here. I'll take care of him. Because Grayson was having he was having a meltdown, and my whole thing was I ain't got nowhere to go. Like my nephew don't need to have a meltdown. Like here, take the baby.
Yeah.
But it took him a little while to get out of that.
Yeah, I
Well, you
don't
can
know
imagine the transition, Bunny. The transition of it's like it's not an easy transition if someone comes pick up the baby. You come to pick up the baby, you gotta go. He like, hold up. You can imagine it takes him a minute to process.
Yeah, it was definitely a process. I don't know why that actually happened. He would pull Braxton's legs. Whoever was holding Braxton to take him out, it was a no for Grayson. In his mind, he felt like Braxton belongs here with me. This is my toy. This is my human toy. I want him to stay here. So he eventually grew out of that because we was like, no, Braxton needs to go home. Braxton has to go home.
Like that didn't last long.
Go home. But
like Phil said that he's still, some things you can attribute to autism, but there's still a little boy. He still enjoys Braxton's company.
Absolutely.
So I love that because I think that sometimes you can discount them and think, oh, they don't understand. They don't know. Yeah. But I love that part about them that you still have to understand that they may have autism, but they're still in the real world. They still know what toy is this. And he still know he loved Braxton and he didn't want to get rid of Braxton. He was like, listen, y'all go. You can go, but I need Braxton to stay. I enjoy
and
his
he
company.
would actually push us. He would push us out
the door. Yeah,
he
pushed him to the door to leave.
I love it. Let me tell you something. I love it. These are the things that people need to hear. They need to hear that they still like their favorite toy. They like their favorite person. They still are not exempt from having something that's near and dear to their hearts.
Absolutely.
And I think so many times we forget about that.
Yeah. It's up to us to tap into that and recognize that, that was a connection that he had with Braxton. What that connection was, I don't know. But the two of them are really close. Like Jessica said, when Grayson is doing something, Braxton is right there doing the same thing or trying to do it. He's lining up trucks and trains, and he's trying to follow his big cousin. And even what another thing that Grayson does is when he's in his trampoline and there's a swing inside the trampoline, if Braxton gets in, Grayson will either stop swinging or jumping or he'll get out. So he acknowledges that this is a little person and I don't want to hurt him. So he definitely understands that.
I love his care. That is his care for his cousin. I love it.
And I love the fact that this is an educational point. I love when my sister's kids will be around and somebody came and they saw Morgan and said it was somebody that wasn't used to seeing her. And they was like, well, who's that? They said, oh, that's my cousin Morgan. Oh, she's the. It was just like it was nothing to them. Yeah. But I think that helped them to this day. Devin was like, Ryan has attached himself to this guy that's autistic. His birthday is the same day as Ryan. Ryan helped him with his podcast. Devin was the one that sponsored the autism for his football team. I think a lot of these things, and this is what we need more of, people educating our young people, because as we know, in our generation, when I was in school and they called them retarded. They kept them away from us. The only time we may have seen them dip out is if they had to go use the bathroom or they still kept them in a room for lunch. It's not like that these days. And I think we need more of that, because if we don't, we have ignorant adults.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to educate everybody. And that's what was really important to me for my family members, is to educate everybody on what autism is, what it looks like, how do you help an autistic person? It's important that whoever is going to be around Grayson understands who Grayson is, how he functions, what makes him tick. It's important that, and it's important that they understand how to read him, read the nonverbal cues to understand what he needs. We're teaching him, to use more words, but he knows, some sign language. He's starting to utter more words and sounds. So we want to tap into that, and everybody that's around him does the same thing. If he wants, chips, he's got to say chips. So it's a constant learning thing with Grayson. Now, it's not always been easy around this house with Grayson, with him understanding how to play with toys. There's been a lot of property damage from this little kid here.
What's some of the property? Tell us.
TVs?
It's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 5 TVs. Flat screen TVs just only 55. Just 65, 75.
Don't be putting Grayson's business out there like that.
Yeah. But there's a testimony behind it. He's learned now how to play with toys and not to throw. So we thank God for progress. We thank God for every time he's able to understand a task, to understand not to do something. We thank God for that, because it was a struggle on teaching an autistic kid. What does that look like? There's no book for that. Just like there's really no book when you have a baby, every step of what you should do. So, you're learning and you're trying to figure out what best, strategies and practices we can do as a family to figure out how to help this small human who was just 2 tearing up stuff in the house. And you're looking like you're just 2 years old and you're breaking up everything. Like you're just 2. So thank God he is 6. He will be 7 in June.
Wow.
And he's definitely not the same Grayson, and we thank God for that. Their prayer does work. I'm not looking for, if I can change anything for Grayson being autistic, it would be that he uses words, that he will be verbal. Everything else, I'm okay. I'm okay with him being autistic. And I know it was kind of, Quenica didn't say it, but it was a little challenging for her to accept that. She was also in denial, just like Jess said. And it was kind of hard for her, because when you have 2 kiddos around, we had our granddaughter Bailey, and then we had Grayson. So you've got 2 babies coming around the same time. They were 2 months apart. You see one is progressing, growing, developing, on track. And then you've got the other one here that there's some slight delays. And you do think, man, I wonder what would life be like if the 2 of them can act. Because Bailey has been smart pretty much her whole life. Like Quenica said, she's been using words since she's like 1. This girl's been talking.
I will say though, Grayson was killing it when it came to the puzzles, the numbers, the shapes, the colors. He was killing the alphabet. He knew the alphabet before she did.
Yeah, he knew more, but from the standpoint of the development, it was there was a big difference, and I often question, like, Bailey is so active and so verbal. What would life be like if they could actually interact with each other, if he could actually play with her? So Bailey was forced at such a tender age of probably 1 to figure out what is autism, what is special needs.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yes, we had to teach Bailey when she started using words. Her words consisted of nonverbal. My cousin doesn't talk. He doesn't use words yet. He's autistic. He doesn't talk yet. She had to know how to interact with him. And like I said,
speak for him.
Yeah, she would speak for him. If she was on the playground and other kids would come around and say, why doesn't he talk? And she would say, she said he has autism. He doesn't use words yet. But he can say hi. So she'll say, Grayson, say hi. Grayson, say hi. He said, hi, hi. And that was it. So Billy really learned to protect him and to really speak for him in the situations where, you know, she needed to. She went to school. There was an autistic girl in her classroom that she had taken a liking to, and she would help around the class. And I didn't know this until her teacher, we did a project. And I think, Philip, you did, the project was based off of my family, and then my cousin has autism. And the teacher said that she did not know that Bailey had a cousin with autism, but it goes to show who she is in class because she takes care of the autistic, her autistic classmate. So I told her, I said, yeah. So Bailey had to grow up quick with understanding autism.
You know, and I think that's why I was thinking like Grayson affects more than just you all. He affects the family and beyond. And you just gave the example of how it affected Bailey, how she advocates for him, and then how she sees differences in another kid and she shows compassion and it extends beyond. Last summer, my daughter worked at a daycare and she said, Mom, I immediately picked up. This kid is autistic. And the teachers were giving him commands and it was taking him a minute to process. So she said, I hung back. It's okay. I'm waiting on you. We're going to put on our socks. And he's still looking. She was like, the first sock. And I know how she is with my son, Roman, my son. She's like, listen to me. Do it. And I don't even get it. I don't get in it because he got to handle the real world. If he can handle his sister, that's part of the battle. And here she is taking the same attitude to her job, like, you can do it. Good job. Like she knows how to give praise. It's like, good job for getting that sock on. She's not just throwing out good job. She's like, good job for what you did. And she knows how to give praise. And so she's been worrying me. I got to get back to that daycare. I'm like, girl, you got to get a job. That's what you got to get. I don't know if they hired. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that kid might not even be there this summer. But it's her heart now.
Yeah.
And Grayson affects beyond your hearts. And your hearts extend out. And look how, and it extends out, and Bailey and Brax and all of them. It just keeps going out. And that's and I thank God, because I always say, God, had I not have a kid like this, would my heart be like this?
Right. I agree.
Would my heart be this tender to people with differences? No. Would I be like, they just working my nerve? Would I be impatient? Why don't they get it? Why don't this? Would they need this? You know, would I be like that? Or would I have a heart that I have now? I'm great there. I like your village.
Yeah. Yeah, Quenica just said that they teach you patience, and they really do.
They do.
I did have that mindset prior to, Grayson coming into our lives, because I did not look at the special needs community the same way as I do now. I now have so much compassion for them, and the fight. I always try to advocate for those that are different and to appreciate the differences, because God made all of us with different fingerprints. We all have something different, a different quality about ourselves. And now I just have a greater appreciation for all of the disability community. And I tell my kids, my season of my life is Grayson, and I don't slight my other grandkids at all, but my season is to advocate for him, to make sure that he has a voice. And whether that's at the doctor's office, church, in school, I'm going to be that voice. Now, no one is going to mess with my family members without me saying something. But my real fight in this season of my life is to make sure that educationally, Grayson is going to be set up, and he is going to be okay. If there's any issues in schools, I'm going to make sure to go and advocate for him. And I make sure to fuss with my family to do the same. If they say Grayson did something, you ask, what was the situation behind it? Why would he do that? You just don't accept that Grayson did it. You find out why did he do that? What was the
You
situation?
don't accept.
So everybody getting chastised, huh? Everybody.
When Brandon came into the family, he had to listen. Jessica had to talk to him. That one you don't mess with.
Brandon, good
Yes.
Lord. So it's like we was just talking about this earlier.
Right.
If she does it, if she chastises him, it's okay. But nobody else, you got to get permission.
Yeah. I learned early on with Grayson, but I think my early interactions with Grayson, like, he was just active. That man had motor non-stop. And at the time when he was a little bit littler, I could deal with it. Like, because yes, Grayson is autistic. Yes, he has special needs. But Grayson is still a boy at heart.
Yep.
And so me being, grown man, I kind of know what little boys like. So I would have fun with Grayson, but that also played into his autism a little bit. I would pick Grayson up, throw him, but Grayson doesn't get tired. I do.
But you do.
But I do.
So you can't
But-
start nothing that you can't finish.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Uncle B became a fan. Became one of Grayson's favorites because I would just have fun with him and just do boy stuff with him. Toss him around, play around with him. But I would get tired, and he does not. So those were my early interest, and I remember Dad saying, "All right, now he gonna start. You gonna wear out before he wear out."
My mom's stressing because he was launching Grayson into the air. My mom was like, oh God.
And then you also, like, if you don't know, like, I'm 6'4", so like me launching somebody in the air.
They gonna
Oh, wow. I'ma just
they had high
say-
ceilings.
Look.
I caught them every time.
Good Lord.
Look, I'm gonna say, not only did he not get tired, can you imagine sensory wise, that felt really good to him.
Yep.
Like that throwing in the air, it's like a rush and he wants more of it.
Yep.
I mean, I used to spin mine, hold their hands and keep turning. And then I'd be like, no, because my hands getting sweaty. You might slip out, Like at some point we gotta stop. But it felt good to them, that sensory of their body and everything. So you was helping him feel real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then even just I remember you like little pillow fights and stuff. But when he swing back, it's just not like
Like
he
almost
followed
knocking
through.
you out. Because Great Bay ain't small. Them nuggets and fries feel taking
We
to him.
can't do no more pillow fights.
Yeah.
Then Brandon, was this your first interaction with an individual with autism?
Yes, it was definitely my first interaction. And then
And you
I
have
think
a son too, right? Was this your son's first interaction with one?
it was my son's first interaction, as far as I know, too, with someone with autism too.
Okay.
And my son is older. My oldest son, is 16, and so there's big age gap. And then early on, when we first came in, we had to be like, Grayson has autism. Like he's just not going to stop. You having to explain it, and even with him trying to explain it a couple of times over. But to the point where now he kind of gets it. And I think my only other thing, like, I would be nervous my first times coming around Grayson because he's so active, and like a normal kid, I want to protect him from himself. A lot of times I want to catch him, grab him, stop, don't run. I had a lot of moments where I was probably almost too kind of overprotective of him, but I just wanted to, like, I knew in my head, and I would just like, oh no, he's going in here by himself. Like, a whole tornado could happen. Like, so I always want to come on. Let me just grab you. Come on, let's go. But those were my. But now, like, hey, Grayson going Grayson, you know, and we'll adjust.
Like, go he on in the pantry, Grayson in the pantry. Grayson, what you getting?
Yeah.
He know what he
Yeah.
want. He know, and that's the
And
great
try
thing.
to create some independency for him around the house to let him be able to get his snacks. Like you saw, he didn't just get one bag of Funyuns; he went back for 3. So it's some things we got to put some restrictions on, but we wanted him to feel as normal as possible. If
I love it.
Bailey is able to go and get her snacks and drinks, then I wanted to allow space for Grayson to have a shelf to be able to go and get his snacks as well. So it's been some adjustments, it's been some accommodations made, and we just love our Gray Bear.
Yeah.
And learn how to communicate with that when he had the communication board with the little with the Velcro and stuff. Like, you know, that was an experience in itself, you know, just like, you know, learning sign language. I knew a tad bit of sign language, but now, like, I've learned more, which also I think going back to Braxton has helped with development of Braxton, because now Braxton he does sign language too. And you know, I think that it's really kind of helped Braxton along in his development too, you know, some of the things that he does. So it affects the whole village.
Yes.
I love it. He has a wonderful village. I mean, and I think ultimately, I think ultimately it's a great thing because everybody's learning how to love him. Because I say all the time, no matter how different he is, he needs to know he's loved. He needs to know he's in a safe place. And when you come from out in the world and all that you deal with in the world, it's like, wow, I'm home now and I can be safe. I can be loved. I can be who I am. So I love that. Go ahead, Phil.
No, what I was going to say is, and it's been said in different ways, but the word protection was thrown up. And that was one that I didn't understand, because I had a friend of mine whose son has autism, and he would always say, you got to protect him. Yeah, we think protection is, you know, don't let him run out the street, you know, don't let him burn himself. But his protection came with him denying even himself, as far as, you know, certain, he said, there's certain places I won't take him because I know, you know, how it we had a party here one time, and Grayson came down in the basement and noticed that everything has changed. And he had a you know,
a 2-hour meltdown.
And so, you know, my friend said, he said, well, you know, he said, we protect him by, there's certain things people will invite us to. We just say, hey, we can't come.
And is their house they're not Grayson proof.
And so, and you know, he said, and then there's some individuals, you know, if you know someone is not willing to understand him, you keep away from that person. And I was like, you know what? I said, that makes sense. You know, you do. There's so much protecting that we do with him. There's certain times I'll tell my wife, well, you go, you know, because his mother's at work, you go, I'll stay.
Yeah.
Why? Because I know if he gets in that environment, he's not going to be able to deal with it. He's not going to be able
it's not a comfortable environment for him.
So we have to, and it's not that the environment is bad, it just it doesn't work for him. And so, you know, it's so important to protect him, you know, from people and you know, and I can just imagine what it's like as they get older, you know, the looks, the stares, you know, and that troubled me for a while, but then after a while, you know, it doesn't bother me anymore.
Well, you know what I do? Bunny used to be like, Paula, you brave. You know what I did? A lot of people would stare at Morgan. And you know, I said, Morgan, come say hi to them. And it'd be grown adults. And they'd be looking around. I said, oh, come here. I said, say hi to Morgan. And Morgan would be waving. But even as far as the kids, for me, I give them an opportunity to ask questions. What happened to her? I said, well, God made her like this. I said, she's just a little different from you. But guess what she does? She still cries. She still likes to be loved. She still likes to be hugged. So I think when it all goes away, people need to understand they may have differences, but ultimately they need to be loved. They want to be loved. They
Exactly.
want to be safe. They want to know that they can be them. And I'm the same way, Phil. When if somebody asks me to come somewhere, I'd be like, oh yeah, your house ain't Morgan proof.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm not even going to enjoy myself. I'm running around chasing her. Oh, Morgan, don't touch this. Oh, Morgan, don't touch this. I'm like, I ain't going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, that's them at my house. I'm like, Cornica, get your son. He going up the steps. Get your son.
They make themselves at home. Morgan's the
Right.
same way. She
Listen.
come in like, because what she's trying to do too is find her safe spot here. If we're going to be
Yeah.
here, sometimes she'll just go in a closet and she'll stay
Yeah.
there for the duration because that's her safe spot. So what she's really trying to do is find a safe place.
I'm gonna share this one thing that Grayson used to do when he would come to my house. He would come in, he'd take his shoes off, take his socks off at the door. So before he even put his stuff down, he's taking his shoes and his socks off, and he would go to my dog's crate, and he would go inside the dog's crate and shut the door. And I'm like, Grayson, my
And
dog.
what did I tell you about that?
Great. She was like, stop letting him do it. I'm like, Mom, I can turn around, and he would go, like, he would just go in the crate, and I'm looking
That's
for
his
Grayson.
safe
I'm like,
spot.
Grayson, where you
That
at?
is.
Where you at, Grayson? Grayson in the dog crate, because it was a dark space, so it was
Yeah.
enclosed, it was dark, and
Mhm.
I guess he felt safe there.
And the dog don't mess with him ever
Yeah.
since Grayson tried to ride him like a horse.
That dog's back is gonna be broke. I don't know how big that dog is.
He's not that big.
He's not that
Oh
big.
Lord, y'all probably need to hide that dog when Grayson comes.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my goodness.
But I just want to say this one thing, and one thing I've learned is prayer works. And sometimes we pray prayers and we don't think they're going to be answered. Sometimes we pray them, we believe they're going to be answered, but we just don't know how God's going to answer these prayers. I prayed a prayer before Grayson was born, and I asked God, I said, Lord, allow me to spend as much time as I can with you. And not knowing that in a few years I would be home.
Wow.
And if I had seen it that way, I probably would have said, Lord, not that way. That's not knowing that I would be home, and just to be able to share all these moments, it's taught me about small victories.
Oh, wow.
Small victories that we kind of just overlook. Him being able to open up a bottle by himself, and being able to put a spoon up to his mouth by himself. Just to let me know what he needs. So it's helped me to appreciate just the small things in life, the small victories, and just seeing him progress. I just believe that, Lord, if you answered that prayer, then all my dreams that I've had, that you're able to do that too. So it helps to give us even patience with waiting on God. Because he tells us, with everything, with prayer and supplication, he said, let our requests be made known unto him. And not to be purposeful, because we want it to happen now. And for those
the way we want it, it's like, Lord, do it this way. If you don't do it this way, you ain't did it. And it's like, you're right. I love it.
Well, we're gonna end with another victory for the grandpa, Grayson. Who is that? Wait a minute. Look, who is that? Hold up. Hit pause. Who is that? Pops. Exactly. That's Pops.
Love it.
What's my name? No, look. Who am I? Bun. Now let's tell the people bye. Bye. Say thank you.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much, man. When I tell you, I ain't even gonna lie. Thank you for Bunny to stopping, because I could keep going with you guys. I just want to just say, seriously, I mean, I see Grayson in church, but I hear bits and pieces about him. But man, when I tell you, I just thank God for his village. I thank God for him. He's teaching us, my daughter has autism. Crystal's sons have autism, but it's again, they're on different parts of the spectrum. But I love the fact that you guys have not discounted his contribution to your family, number one, and then his contribution to the world. I love it. God knows. I thank God for him blessing Grayson with you guys. That's my closeout.
Absolutely.
Crystal,
Grayson
you want to
should be
close
going
out?
My closeout is, if not for Grayson, I would not have met Bunny. I would not have had an opportunity to meet you
Absolutely.
all. You know, and so it's been a blessing meeting Bunny, seeing Bunny. When I came to church, she yelled me from the, you know, the parking lot. I was like, who calling my name? And I was so happy, you know. So meeting your guys' wonderful mother, Phil, your beautiful wife, all because of Grayson. So I thank God for that.
And that has connected us forever. Advocacy forever.
Absolutely. We've got work to do.
We got work to do.
Yep.
I love you guys. Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
guys.
Thank you.
Yes, you all have a nice one. Until we see you again on Advocacy next Thursday, we will see you again. We appreciate the Smith family. We also appreciate the Jones family. Bye-bye, Braxton. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye. Bye. He closing us out. Go ahead, Gray Bear. We love you guys. Have a good evening.
Love y'all too. Bye-bye.